Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we have here a beautiful Alfa 156 with a 105 diesel engine, the early JTD engines, and this car does not start. The car was already on other workshops. They replaced a bunch of stuff, including sensors, the high pressure fuel pump, some other stuff, and the car just does not want to start. The immobilizer was already eliminated as well, but that leaves me with some doubts about if it was done correctly or not. Well, I will leave you here with the attempt of start of the engine so you can hear something. I'm thinking here probably something is not right. That is my hunch. Maybe it's just me, but it seems to me that this engine, it is low on compression. Do you know what starts diesel engines? High compression. Maybe it's just me, but I will test absolutely everything. Another thing that is happening is the RPM. I'm doing here some diagnosis. The RPM is not being read by the sensor, and the sensor is new. So maybe we have some kind of wiring problem that we have to see through. I have here a testing sensor, original one, that I can use for this. Well, whatever it may be the issue, I will do a list of things that you have to see, or I have to see, in order to find this problem. Now, before we get started here on the list, another thing that happened on this engine that the customer did not told me, but I could saw that something happened on there. On the accessories belt, on the serpentine belt, everything is new, kind of, okay? But that famous tensioner is all bent up to one side, which means that at some point that engine may have become out of timing because of the accessories belt passing underneath the timing one. That normally does not do this symptom of the appearance of lack of compression. Normally it starts very well, but the engine is very sharp on idle and also in other RPMs, because the valves are actually touching the pistons. So yes, I will put this new one, not this one, but well, I have to really see everything and think of all the causes of potential consequences. Make sense? No. How to start a common rail engine. Actually, I already did a video for that on the car, but the car did not have any problem. I just provoked some issues to show you how to diagnose them. Start with the basics of the basics. Engine. Is it on time? For any engine, gasoline or diesel, engine timing is crucial, not only because of a possible collision on the interior of the engine, but also because of the synchronization between the lower RPM sensor and the upper camshaft position sensor. If they are not synchronized, the management of the engine can make the car not start, can make the engine not start. Next, what you need, you know that your engine is synchronized, but you need to see if this engine can develop a good compression. So the compression must be around 20 bar, never going below 18, and if you have 22, it is ideal, okay, for these engines. Between cylinders, it must be also around the 2 bars difference. So if you have 22, 20, 18, okay, and the other one 20, it's all okay, okay? If you have below 16, 15, something is off. Timing, bad timing can provoke a bad compression, like we saw on the Alfa 164 on the V6 turbo, that the front bank was, the front one was out of timing, and as soon as we put the engine on timing, we gain around 1.5 to 2 bars of compression, if I recall. Okay, so that can be it. More. Now we have the mechanical side of the engine good, so we know that we have good timing and good compression, if it is. Now you need the low pressure side of the fuel system when you turn on the ignition, and you need the high pressure fuel side when you crank the engine. When you crank the ignition only, you must have around 4 bar. Normally the diagnosis machine can give you this value if the machine is good. Take notice that this is a very old car, 98, it is around 25 years old, so most modern machines cannot communicate so well with the car. You may have some issues appearing around like 10 bar or something on here. But if you switch off the ignition and see 0, switch on and we see like 10, it is because it's producing something. If you are really with doubts, you must have a gauge, a physical gauge between the hoses, like around the fuel filter, for example, and we can do that on this car. Let's see, to confirm that we have the 4 bar always, even during the procedure of cranking, okay, on the low side. On the high side, after the high pressure fuel pump, already did some videos for that, yes I did, you must have during starting at idle from 250 to 320, okay, during cranking, idle, okay. Now if you have this, does not mean that the car will start, because you need synchronization. Well, not all engines need this. Most of them do. Yeah, the diesel ones, almost all of them. So the engine must know that the lower part of the engine and the higher part of the engine are synchronized via 2 sensors, the RPM sensor and the cam position sensor. If one of the two or the two of them are not good, the engine will not start, even though it produces the high pressure fuel, okay? It just will not open the injectors. The management does not allow for opening the injectors. That is what it seems to be happening right now, because I have 0 readings on the RPM and the car cranks and the fuel pressure is there. Already see that, okay? But the injectors are not opening. But why they are not opening? That is very strange, okay? Now you need more to see on the diagnosis machine. You need to see the authorization of the immobilizer, and you have to see more. Well, that's about it. Yeah, some cars you have to see if when you crank the key, if the low pressure fuel pump goes on and off. On these cars it will do that. On this one is working. Already see that on the diagnosis. I don't want to repeat so many steps, okay? So I just want to get to it. So let's start with here. I would like to take this one step at a time, but maybe we have to jump up and down on a few procedures. Let's see. Let's start here. Well, I know that I have a bad sensor or wiring, or because the ECU was messed with because of the immobilizer. So maybe something there. But I want to see that timing. I really want to see that timing, because I have a feeling something is not right with that engine. So on the crankshaft over here, the markings that someone did are not correct, but that does not mean it is bad. So at first glance, when I have my tool over here and lock it here, just confirm here with the bolt on top of the engine on the camshaft, all appears to be also nice. But that, like I said, that does not mean that the engine is timed. We have to take out the sprockets, the gears, and see if the keys inside of the sprockets are not broken. Because this is very odd. The engine is timed, but not perfectly. I have just this feeling. I have to confirm it, okay? Confirm everything and assume nothing. Just a heads up over here. This is not the nut to go on the transmission side. The guide over there is missing because someone broke there the threading. The ABS cable is not like this, and it is rubbing on the wheel, because the wheel, you can see on the wheel the mark over there. That nut is not from there. This flexible hose is completely torn. It's completely screwed up. I have to put this as it should be. Here on the timing covers we have here 2 bolt holes, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Guess how many bolts were in fact holding down these covers? Only 2. One over here and the other one over there. My God. Also, this cover is not Well, without bolts, it tends to do this. Yeah, and that. So over here I have everything okay, so the key is correct. Also here the target for the sensor is okay, it's not bent, and the sensor appears to be new. So very good over there. No leaks, no nothing. Just one thing here, this bolt had Loctite. You cannot use Loctite on this bolt, ever, okay? You can use a lubricant and spec it to 110 Newton meters, okay? If you need any help for timing belts, I have a playlist down on the description for timing belts on this engine and also on other engines. Let's go now check the crankshaft gear. The high pressure fuel pump over there does not have a specific position in which to put the belt in, okay? This is completely free, like you already saw on my videos on my channel. As you can see, everything is good with the key. No worries about this. We can assemble this again and move on to the next step. In the meantime, let's see if we can save here these threadings. One lug nut here was missing because it was completely, the threading is completely gone, apparently. Oh yeah. Once again, I want to thank my Patreon supporters. With their help, it's very much possible to acquire new tools, as you can see over here, and in that way increasing my quality and my delivery on work. And once I have the means to purchase new tools like this one, everybody wins, I believe. On this hole over here, I have to do a helicoil repair, for example. I'm waiting for that tool to arrive. With this, surely the bolt will go in, but it does not mean that that will hold the force. So I'll try to. I will have to test it to make sure it is okay, but I believe it is. At least it is better, way better. Way better. Talking about here the repair with helicoils, do not advise to do that over here. It is very risky. Well, you just have 5 volts holding down the wheel. If you have 2 or 3 repairs on this case, maybe all of them, I think it is too risky. Possibly not, possibly is even better. If you have an insert, yes, that may work, okay, that may work. But the helicoil itself may be a little bit weak. That white ceramic paste that I usually use here on the channel is excellent for this application, and at least here for Portugal, for our climate, is really very good. It does not burn out, it does not stain. Well, it does stain a lot on our clothes, but it is really very, very resistant, okay? This one over here is really, really bad. At least here on the first few threadings. I'll try to save it anyway. Now a thing that will happen on these threadings, every time you repair a thread like this, you are removing the plating from the part. What will happen in future is, yes, I know that this is not a bolt, but just to exemplify, you will have a much stickier, well, the lug nut will be very difficult to remove after a few months or years of use, because now you start to have corrosion between this untreated surface and the bolt itself. So because of that, you must use a proper lubricant for this application, okay? Some greases are not safe to put on threadings, not even on steel. This one is absolutely perfect for this. 5 new original bolts. Ow. Good blade. Try not to drop them. The pitch of the threading is very fine, if you drop them it can be hurt. The tightening of the bolts is only 120 Newton meters, okay? Okay, just a good coating. And I will apply the bolt over here to the grease to travel everywhere. You may think that this is overkill. I think not. What we are doing over here is to prevent corrosion, not to solve it. Now I have to do the same thing on the other side of the car, but it is exactly the same job, okay? I'm just seeing here if the bolt went through, and it went, okay? About the bolts over here, one more thing. Until 2002, you have 19mm head bolts. 2002 forward, you have 17mm head bolts. Both are tightened to 120 Newton meters. Now, going back here to this problem, the main problem of the car, as you saw over here, I rotated the crankshaft in order to my tool to fit. And you can do that, but you have to feel if the pistons are touching the valves, okay? But as you can see, we have a lot of travel until that happens. Thing was, okay, I saw that everything is okay, but now I want to back up the crankshaft to do the final assembly, okay, of the belt and whatnot. When I did that, take a good listen to this. It seems like the starter is catching on the flywheel. It seems that. Well, yeah, now that I listen very carefully, it really seems to be that. Because a few years ago, a friend of mine, my tutor actually, had a problem on the car like this. And the thing was, on the crankshaft itself, you have the target, you have a dish full of holes where the sensor reads, okay? And on this case, never saw that happen again. The dish, the target, came loose. And I thought until now, maybe not, I thought until now that this dish on this car, because remember, it is not reading RPM, maybe the dish is catching on something. I will take out this sensor because I have another one to try out, and with my finger I'll try on the hole to feel for that plate, to feel if it is loose or not. Very strange. Very strange. If you want to know more about this crank sensor, I already have a video how to replace it. But the cause of this maybe this starter is starting to be a little bit tired of having to crank so much, and that the sliding pin is not sliding out or in on this case, and is catching on the flywheel. Maybe it's that. Well, it's just something to have in mind. So let's put the timing belt in. Already I have a video for that as well. And let's see with the new sensor if it is okay. This is really odd. Very strange. Now about the sensor over here, about this RPM sensor, I already did a video how to replace it. And one thing that I want to know is this one over here is the one for the car, and it is an Bosch one, like the original, just like the original with the same part number. Everything was cool, except it was not. So when I was to take out the bolt was loose. Okay, that can happen. And when I was to grab the sensor just fell down. Well, that is not correct, because you have this O-ring over here that you have to push the entire part in until you have a perfect flush finish here on the sensor. Not only that, if you do not do that, and if you tighten the bolt, you can crack the part. It seems to be cracked already, and bend it also. So that got me thinking, and I already have the other sensor, because this one now is of unknown condition. I have 5 millimeters left to enter to the inside of the engine. Obviously, the sensor will not read that far from the target. As you may understand, the sensor has to have a distance to the target, and normally on the induction sensors, let go. On the induction sensors must be inferior to 1 millimeter, let alone 5 millimeters. That's why I do not have the RPM, I believe, okay? That does not mean that the problem is solved. I truly did not start the car yet, just to not to mess up my thinking over here. I may have other problems, namely because I see diesel over here on the injectors. Do not know if it was from the replacement of the fuel pump or something, but there is diesel over there. And if I have a fuel leak, it will not start on these conditions, okay? But one step at a time, like I told you, okay? So I believe I found the issue with the RPM not being read. It was a new sensor that was not fitted correctly. How about that? As you can see, very interesting. Unfortunately for the customer, this is bad news, okay? But I truly love these kinds of malfunctions. Can really learn a lot from this, okay? So let's see the parameters. In fact, on the parameters, you may have already the RPM counting, because the engine now has a different, well, it wants to start. Again, we have the appearance of having low compression. I asked the machinist to do a tool to see here the compression, because I have the gauge, but I do not have a tool for that. So the machinist is doing that. While he's doing that, I'm trying to see here other stuff. And I try to see there if I have fuel leaks, because I'm smelling fuel. It also can be from the exhaust. Okay. But on the diagnosis, I had fuel pressure reads. Well, does not matter. We have to test everything. If you need videos for injectors, I have several down on the description, so you to see how to remove them, how to test them, how to do diagnosis, and so many other things, okay? Just seeing here the tightening of the high pressure fuel lines. The second one was a little bit off. I have to disconnect here some things to do this final one, but you get the drift, okay? This new drill bit comes with the repair kit that I have over here. It is new, and it's really really sharp. Thus my difficulty here of doing removing the thread. This is a very specific size, 8.3 millimeter, to remove here this old threadings, okay? So it comes with the kit because it is a very specific size. Also because we have to have a very specific size too to do the new threading and then to put the helicoil. Now this tool over here It is a 8mm by 125 of pitch over here. Make sure it is the same pitch that the bolt that you are using. So it is. Make sure your bolt, the threadings are good. These ones were not, but I did repair them. Okay, and now we are good to use the tool. Next, you want to make sure also that your helicoil is the same pitch. Okay, so everything is nice. The ceramic paste grease should be used at the end of everything, but some days has passed since this cleaning of the threadings, and I did not want the humidity of the rain to cause any issues over here, so I did apply the paste. Back it up a little bit to make sure everything is nice. Take out the excess. Start over. This tool here comes with a repair kit, like I said. Also on the repair kit we have a driver over here. I like to use a little bit of Loctite, the blue one, just a smidge. I don't want it to pass through the new bolt. And by hand start it. Until it is just under the surface. Okay, that's nice. Now just let the glue dry. Meanwhile, a punch is also provided to break the leg of the helicoil. Now test your bolt. Repair, well done. And with this, the torque spec, it is exactly the same. Well, you heard it, it runs. Well, not quite. It just starts if I press on the accelerator pedal, and if I do it all the way like you saw, it does not want to rev more than 3000 RPM, I believe, and then just dies on me, completely shuts off. So I have more issues here. I will start here by checking the compression like I said, because a bad compression can do this, but okay, one step at a time, okay? Which means now also that we had a problem with the sensor, the bad fitment of the RPM sensor, and I can hear that the starter does not pull back and is constantly spinning with the engine. So this will destroy also the starter. Okay, I already have a lot of videos for starters. If you want me to do one for this one, I can do it, okay? Now I do have here a false injector that I ordered a machinist to do. It is the same size as the original injector, but it has a hole straight through, so the gauge goes on there, okay? So I'll put one at a time, 1 through 4 or 4 through 1, does not matter, and see finally what is the compression of this engine. Meanwhile, I did here a cleanup of the cavities, as you saw on other videos about injectors on my channel, okay? So let's go. It uses a cone-shaped washer, a normal washer, and a nut, 10mm nut. Very similar to the 1.3 multi-jet engines. Just enough to do the testing. Now the device comes with several parts to do the reading. This being a diesel, it is a bit different than my gasoline one. Normally you want to have another person to do this, to help you to do this testing by turning on the ignition. I also have here a button that I can use to do so, and possibly I can do it, but the access is not all that great, so I'll try with the ignition. So what do we have here? Ignore these first two. This one was a testing. I had a lot of liquids inside of the engine still because of the cleaning, and then I had to remove everything again, crank the engine free, so every speck of liquid came out. Okay. The second one was also an experiment because I thought it was too high at 32, and I did a cleaning again. So the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are the ones to trust. So the first one being the fourth one, 32, the second one almost 35, the third one 32 again, and the fourth one almost 25. Well, yes, I have a discrepancy over here on the fourth one, but they are really very high. I believe also too much, but I can still have a lot of oil on the piston rings. So if I deduct here about 5 bar because of that, I think I have enough. Even the fourth one with 20. Okay, it is not a reason for this behavior. On the way to the assembly, I noticed that one of the injectors, that little peg that has on the entry or the high pressure of the fuel, was loose, and the plug on the third one was also very loose. So it may be different right now. It may be. But now I know that I do not have any problems with the synchronization of the engine. The RPM sensor works and the crankshaft sensor works too because the engine runs. And I know that I have excellent compression, if I can say so. So I'm left behind here with air control for example, intake and EGR and fuel. The car smells a lot like bad EGR or bad fuel. Okay, so I'll try first maybe air. Okay, see the air filter, see everything, if everything is correct, see the EGR, a testing gasket over there to see if that causes a difference, and then I'll go to the fuel system. If you want videos for EGRs and how to test all of that, I have down on the description videos for that, okay? So I will turn on the engine right now before all of this because, like I said, I had a problem there with the connector for the third injector and that little threaded accessory on the fourth injector. So it may be different, it may be better, it may be just the same. No matter how it is, I have to make absolutely sure of my steps, okay? Even if it is exactly the same, it is still an answer. Not wrong, not right, but an answer, and I have to know that. It may be more difficult to start because we open the fuel injection system. Bear in mind of that, and you already saw on the channel my explanation how to do it, okay? It did start very well, but the car has no idle, and that has that fluctuation, and it smells a lot by the exhaust. Already saw with the intake pipes off and the check the air filter is completely free. This also, with this off, the engine has the same behavior. However, the more I crank it, the more temperature the engine gets, the better it's becoming. Almost has a idle, and I can rev it already to almost red line. So it means that temperature or bad fuel that was in here is doing something. I still have one more shot over there before going to the high pressure fuel pump readings and the low pressure also reading, okay? But let me just show you here on the car what is the symptom, the behavior from the inside of the car. You have to start the car with some acceleration. You can hear the starter grinding away. We have to check that also. Don't want to push it too much because of the starter. Look, idle. Look. Almost starts on its own. Tell you what, let it cool off for a bit to see if we can get the other symptom, the worst symptom. But before that, let me here check something. Just have here a power box connected to the command rail, and I disconnected it to see if it was here the problem. It is not. Unfortunately, it is not. These are very good. I really appreciate power boxes from this era of cars, and they are very, very efficient from this era. My car has one too for about 15 years. It is really a beast. And also my parents' car has one also for the same amount of time. So it is not the problem with the power box, which means that we may have a problem with the low side of the fuel pump. So I have a gauge over here that I can test. Yes, I do. And from the high pressure fuel system, my diagnosis said everything was good. So the readings that I did with my previous machine, Hotel one, was very good, but I have to recheck that. The more I heat it up, the better it runs. I just have there that starter that is really getting on my nerves, and I have to do something about that before I can go to the road with the car, because the car can now go to the road. Yay. Possibly I have here bad fuel. Perhaps I have so much fuel on the tank, I did not want it to remove it all together. Or maybe I do, and put new one. Because the diesel fuel is not that perishable. It's not that it's not like gasoline. Unless someone tried to put something on a fuel tank to make it better. Because it really smells awful, like gasoline. Bad one too. Yeah, I will repair the starter issue over there and drive the car. Just drive the car, driving the car to see what's what. So about the starter. Yeah, it's already in because someone assembled the starter on the inside incorrectly. Oh my god, why? Meanwhile, I'm taking out here the diesel from the filter, doing here a purge, as I call it, and to see if no water is on the system. Meanwhile, assemble everything over here. The starter should be good, and then the power on the road. Let's see what's what, okay? A lot of stuff that I found, well, disconnected, badly connected, just wrong altogether, like here the preheater box for the glow plugs. And okay, on my country, I do not have 0-degree temperatures. If I have, it's 1 or 2 times in the year. And we do not need this function to start our common rail cars, our direct injection cars. We really do not need it. It was disconnected because the clips that hold down the connectors are gone, so the vibration took him out. But it will do for stabilizing idle, not providing idle, okay? 2 different things, just stabilizing the idle. I'm taking out here, like I said, the diesel from the filter. It separates water from the diesel, and I hope in this way on the road it starts to get alive again. I just switched on the ignition, and I have here 3.5 bars, so it is the expected amount of pressure. Now, while I'm cranking the engine, I should maintain this pressure over here, and when the engine is at idle, I also should maintain this pressure, okay? Now the time is off for the low pressure fuel pump, so it is 0. When I crank it again, it should have again the 3.5 bars. So as you can see, everything is okay with the low pressure fuel side. The variation that you saw when the engine was idling badly, I believe it is because of the oscillation of the voltage. That's why the pressure was also oscillating, but only half a bar. So that is not at all a problem. And now I may have a problem on the high side of the fuel pressure, so that high pressure fuel pump will come off for sure. I just will test again the high pressure side with the diagnosis machine to see the pressure of that. It is not very easy to see because the numbers are very slow to appear on the screen, but I'm now definitely sure that I do have a problem on the high pressure fuel pump. Yeah, for sure. I do have a video for this high pressure fuel pump, another case that I had over here on the channel. I had fault codes for high pressure side, okay? I did test this high pressure fuel pump, but the car at the time did not start, just cranked. And when cranking, I have there the 300 bars on the fuel pressure, on the fuel pump. But that does not mean right now with your engine running that it can maintain that pressure. So possibly I will not be able to do all the way the verification of the pressure on the diagnosis machine because it is too slow to see the variations of the high pressure fuel pump. I would remove the high pressure fuel pump to the specialist. He will confirm or not the issue and repair it accordingly, okay? I do have a video for this on my on the description below of the removal of this high pressure fuel pump and everything in between. So the fault codes, the verification of the parameters or the pressures and all of that. It is down on the description, okay? The high pressure fuel pump went to the specialist and guess what? It was totally destroyed. Even the main shaft had to be new. It was worn out. One of the pistons was bad, some spheres, washers and whatnot, everything on this pump was very, very bad, except the regulator. That was good, but the connector to it is totally destroyed and the seal is missing. So I'm doing here a repair on the new one. I have to solder it on because it has some, because these wires are broken, or someone did broken to try to measure it, and I have some oxidation and I have to deoxidize that. Also, I will put in a new filter because the warranty on this high pressure fuel pump it's only valid if I do a new filter, and I have this new stock in-house, so that's that, okay? Also, I will put a additive. This is very good, this additive, because like I suspected, yes, we did have a problem with the fuel contamination. This high pressure fuel pump was filled with remnants of, seems like, water or bad gasoline instead of diesel. The car has new diesel now, and I will put this additive to see if the problem remains over here. Possibly we have problems with the injectors. I hope not. It does not seem like it, because they do not do a horrible noise. Normally when they are bad, they do a very noticeable noise on that part, okay? So we are close to getting it ready. I'm just here heating up the soldering iron. If you want to see more repair videos with this technique, I did here on this exact car the repair on the wires that go to the boot. That repair is valid on the Mitos, on the Joliettas, on the 156 sedans. Everything you want to know about the repair, it is down on the description also, okay? Also, if you want to know how to remove and replace here this high pressure fuel pump, I have a video down on the description. And for the replacement of the fuel filter, also I have videos for that. And for the filters of the 156 in general, I do have videos for that also, okay? For the cabin air filter on the inside and here behind this cover, for the air filter as well, for the engine oil, for the gearbox oil, I also have for the power steering oil, I also have for the brake fluid, and for the coolant I have a whole playlist for coolant issues down in the description. I want to thank a viewer for this panel over here. This also was a donation for the channel, and in this way I can help out here the owners of this car. They are in very necessity of help, so I'm doing the best I can to, well, cover this hole. Then they have to paint it if they want to, okay? The cover like this. We are very close, and I will connect the power box at once, because then I want to do a very thorough cleanup on the engine bay, and I do not want any open circuits, and not to mess anything up. To see also, because I had some fuel leaks over there, I replaced a bunch of stuff, and I want to see if I have more leaks. Now you know the drill. You just want to cycle the ignition a bunch of times, and the low pressure fuel pump will take out all of the air back to the tank. About that, I did the testing of the low pressure, and I did a mistake. That gauge is new, and it is new to me also. It does not have a bar scale. It just have pascals and psis. Well, I did not read that correctly. What it actually read was 2.5 to 3 bar, okay, which is nice for these cars. They have, well, they do measure 2.5 bar instead of 3.5 or 4 on these early versions, so everything is okay. But I am sorry for that mistake, okay? So let's just crank up the ignition. Like you saw in the video, just for about, what, 10-15 seconds, 20 seconds maybe. I can hear the bubbles on the tank again. I usually do this until I hear no longer the bubbles on the tank, which is what is happening right now. Now I will try to start it without the accelerator, but I still have old diesel on the injectors. Well, not old, but not treated diesel. Let's see. Well, no accelerator. Let's see if with the movement of the car on the road, I will test the car right now on the road, mix up all of that additive onto the diesel. I also add a little bit of additive on the filter. Probably that was not a good idea, but we will see how it gets from there. If it stays like this, and if on the road does not stall, because it did that once it enters safe mode, If it is all good, but it has these little oscillations, probably we call it a day and talk to the customer, see if he wants to go any further. Because more than this, it will be injectors, and that is another expensive job. Well, let's see. Oh, it is good, all right. Very, very, very good on the road. Very hard pulls. It now goes with any limp mode or safety mode being applied. It is really starting to be a very cool car to be daily. Well, I will be running it for 2-3 days to see hot and cold. Now at hot, the idle is just perfect. That really strong idle, even with the AC working beautifully. With it in today's it is really very hot. The idle really stays strong. So I'm really happy with this turnout, and I really have here a bunch of causes for these symptoms, including here bad fuel, bad high pressure fuel pump. Everything that I did so far was necessary, and I did not waste any time or money in anything else. So we checked here the timing belt, and we check this a little bit swollen, the cover, and we check everything that we need to do. The only money applied on this job was to do the right stuff, and that is the way that I like to do it. Okay, so a repaired high pressure fuel pump, a new fuel filter, the additive. Well, I have there the tensioner for the accessories belt, and not much else. Yeah, so a lot of testing, a lot of patience, a lot of method, and it will get you very, very far. So far I did not spend a lot of money. So far, for what the customer told me, I really do not spend a lot compared to the other workshops. And the other workshops, well, on the previous one, the car entered running and exited on the tow truck. So yeah, and the customer did pay. I will run the car for a few days, and then I get back to you with the result. But so far, I'm really, really glad. Let's just see there if the car at cold, if the results are the same as it is now with 10 miles of driving. The diesel now is all mixed together with the additive. This fuel tank, this almost full fuel tank, will be gone in the instant, because this additive really finds up the diesel, and it will be consumed double the speed. But that is just the way it is. Okay, so that's why I told you the next tank of fuel will be the one that determines the success or not of this repair. But so far, I'm really, really, really glad of the turnout. Really glad. And so here it is. It was here all evening. It's quite cold today. This morning, actually. I drove the car yesterday at night and at the afternoon. Did a bunch of kilometers, and it is all okay. The final test is now to see if it is good. Completely cold. They did hear us some cleaning. Just washed the car and lost the tires. New license plates on me. It is really quite better. Now it's just a matter of doing the final test. So no foots on the accelerator. Ignition on. It's good. It's awesome. It's wonderful. It really is. I also saw that no diesel leaks anymore. Very good. Really very good. So it's ready to call the customer. Tell him it has the car to enjoy now. Just has to finish up this fuel tank immediately, as soon as possible, right until the end, until there is nothing left on the diesel tank, and then fill it up again
preferably all the way up, and then it is done, completely done. Did here a repair on the threadings of the wheel hub. On the other side it was also done on camera, this side off camera, okay. On the back side I saw everything is okay. I rotated the tires because on the front, well, the front ones were on the back and they were very old. They have to be on the front right now so that the rear of the car has more stability, because the new tires are now on the back of the car. But that is it, guys. Really, guys, I really hope you like this this video. This is a very important video for the channel. These kinds of videos, I believe they are these kinds of videos show you, I hope, that no problem is the same. I have several cars here, not here but on the channel, that have crank no start, and every one of them has a different problem. So I hope in this way you can understand that it's very important to go step by step to understand everything that is going on.
And so to review what we did on the car over here, we tested the engine synchronization via removing all the timing components, removing the pulleys and the gears, and checked for the keys, and that was correct. We then check out the compression of the engine, and we have a higher value than normal because I believe because of the oil and all of the agents that I did the cleaning of the areas around the injectors and on the injector holes, maybe on that center of the piston, that dipple on the center of the piston. That being said, removing about 5 bars, that normally is the extra amount of pressure when we have residue on the pistons. We have above 22 bar, so it is good, okay? The crankshaft sensor was not correctly assembled, and with that correctly assembled, now the car tried to start, and it start if I press on the accelerator pedal. So we have good crankshaft and camshaft position sensors, because you have to have both working, if not the car will not run, okay? We tested the low pressure on the diesel side. It was okay, 2.5 bar, not 3.5, okay? And the high pressure, well, it was that problem. The high pressure over here, the pump was completely, well, it was completely destroyed. It had to have a new shaft, some new pistons. It uses pistons inside, and all of that stuff. It is at least this big, and imagine that those pumps do not have a lot of stuff inside. So basically it was just like a brand new pump. That pump, it was a used one that the customer replaced on another workshop. My thinking here is probably the original pump could be rebuilt, because it had a similar problem, okay? Could be rebuilt with less money, okay? That is my thinking over here, but I think now that is not very important for the video. What is important is these pumps, the high pressure fuel pumps, with age are starting to have these issues. Very worn out inside, the shaft becomes to be worn out, but it's normal to have 20, 25, almost 30 years, on the case of this car, 25 almost, of working. Obviously it will fail eventually, okay? But still, if you have good maintenance, namely on the fuel filter and using the additives and whatnot, because Alfa Romeo here for Portugal, they said every 20,000 kilometers when doing the maintenance on the dealership, we use an additive called the Diesel Art. It's over there on that board that I showed you on previous videos, and the brand said use it every 20,000 kilometers because it eliminates the water that is normally inside diesel. The water causes these issues on the high pressure fuel pumps, cavitation and whatnot. So think like this: if when the car presented these issues, which was very hard start, the customer told me months ago, before the car completely died on them, not on him. It went to a workshop and then it left there on the tow truck. The original symptom was very hard start, okay, like we saw in the middle of the video. If diagnosed properly, we saw that the problem was with the high pressure fuel pump, and most of the money that the customer already spent in another places, and I have to check all over again, it would not be necessary to spend. But it is done, no turning back now. Everything that was installed on this car was with a purpose, and no money was spent blindly trying to fix problems. Okay, so down on the description you have a playlist dedicated to crank no start or no crank and no start, regarding all JTD and multijet engines. I do have some gasoline engines on that playlist, so probably I have to rename the title of that playlist. Okay, but there is a very interesting list. That one, this video is on there. Okay, I also have another playlist that is for no power or low power as well. That is also a very interesting list, a playlist that is. I have also playlists for brakes, for suspension. I have videos related to this one on the description, right above the head of the description. Okay, and I also have links for helps for the channel if you are able to help. Okay, I see you next time, guys. Bye.